Remember, sobriety isn't responsible for us. We are responsible for sobriety. Okay, let's talk about it. All right, welcome back to Getting Sober, again. My name is Jay, and today we're gonna talk about sobriety and depression. But first, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel by hitting the subscribe button down below, and make sure that you have your notifications set to all so that you'll get notified in real time when we do our live streams. And you'll also get the notifications when I update the community tab earlier in the day to let you know what episodes or live streams are coming up that day. And as always, make sure you leave a comment for either me or anybody else down in the comment section down below. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up before you forget. All right, let's get started with today's topic, sobriety versus depression. Some people call it lousy weather, mercury in retrograde, big mood, or waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Whatever you want to call it, it's depression. In the 25 benefits of quitting alcohol for 90 days, I talked about the pink cloud and the honeymoon phase. There will come a time when the natural high of sobriety wears off and we're left to do the real work that we've ignored for so many years. And for some of us, we may not have the right tools or have had the luxury of therapy or even coming from a loving and nurturing family or community. They say that it takes a village to raise a child, but for some of us, we appointed alcohol to be our own babysitter. We made alcohol a replacement for therapy and trading real self-work by dumping our reoccurring problems on a bartender, or even worse, by dumping on a fellow alcoholic who's also replacing self-work for alcohol. Of course, not all of life's moments are gonna make it to the highlight reel. If your life flashed before your eyes, I'm gonna guess that there won't be a single memory of doing the laundry, taking out the trash, or tying your shoes. But weren't they necessary too? Weren't they just as necessary as standing in line for your favorite roller coaster? Weren't they just as necessary as building up the courage to ask somebody on a date? Weren't they just as necessary as finally letting go your pride and asking for help? It's quite possible that there's something to learn when we're experiencing lousy weather. A time of introspection where we can really take a look at what's bothering us or what's internally been screaming for attention. But we chose alcohol. There's an unacquired skill lying dormant waiting to give you the comfort and ease that future you is eagerly waiting for, and that you currently have to do the work to earn. Think of it like this. If every time that you came to a puddle, all you knew how to do was to take off your jacket, lay it over the puddle, and step on the jacket, which is only masking the puddle, you'd have a whole new set of problems. A dirty or ruined jacket, wet shoes, and a really poor solution or tool in your mind's kit for how to handle a puddle. What if we examine that person as someone else? Every time that person has a problem or dilemma, they seem to mismanage it. You'd say to yourself, well, they're gonna keep having the same problems. But when do we apply the same practical wisdom to ourselves? What if every time that we approach this problem again in the future, we get the same results? We get the same usual anxiety. Anxiety because we know that every time that we've come to this fork in the road, this puddle, this adversity, past us didn't do the work. Past us didn't gain a new skill or attempt a new solution. Past us did what past us always did and drank. And here we are, attempting not to be the same old us. Saying things like, I've tried everything, or it doesn't matter, nothing works. Are you using the same old tool to do a new job? Are you putting an unreasonable amount of stress on sobriety alone to fix your issues? They say that the quality of our lives are directly impacted by the quality of the questions that we ask. And one of the things that we forgot how to do is ask. Ask for help. Ask for a friend to listen. Ask ourselves, what do we need? We find ourselves back at this fork in the road over and over again, because life has a funny way of presenting us with the opportunity to either grow and graduate onto the next level, or to stay stagnant where we are and resign to the idea of this is just how it's going to be. So when we find ourselves at the puddle again, we feel anxiety, we feel depressed, we start to resign and pre-mourn the loss of yet another beautiful jacket. Maybe your jacket is day 3 of sobriety. Maybe it's week 2 or month 1. You're already mapping out in your head that you're going to grab your car keys, turn on the ignition, roll down your driveway and through your neighborhood just like you've done every single time before. But that was the old you. The old you who current you doesn't want to be anymore. The old you that is undoubtedly still part of your history, but no longer serves you in any way other than a lesson. One day you'll decide, maybe I'll just go around the puddle. And the next time you see a puddle, you have a little bit more confidence. You'll say to yourself, I got around it last time, and I did it without losing a part of me. There was no collateral damage. I didn't take anybody down with me. And now you have an alternative solution. And then you go around the puddle and think to yourself, what are some other solutions that I can come up with to handle this problem next time? Because you're smart enough to know that there's gonna be a next time. And then you think to yourself, maybe I can jump over the puddle. But now you're realizing that you've developed yet another coping mechanism to avoid the problem. What if I filled the void? What if I learned to patch over that hole in the road so that I no longer have to worry about it in the future? And then you have even more confidence. You just gained another tool. You just leveled up. You just gave current you, who's about to be the new you in the past, reason to believe that future you has a future. You have more confidence in yourself and your ability to manage problems that previously would have kept you down. You're definitely going to have some bad days that sobriety alone just isn't going to fix. If externally you're still experiencing abuse and trauma, your job is unreasonably stressful, your home life is currently still a reflection of the self-medicating that you left behind, then we ask ourselves 3 things. What can I change? What no longer serves me? And how much of this is out of my control? You may have days where everything on paper is perfect, with no real reason to complain. The sun is shining, you have money in the bank, food in the refrigerator, and you're caught up with all your bills. And people love you. But something's still just a little off. Externally, the world and your environment is just fine. But internally, you still feel off. Like the current that runs through our mind, body, and our soul is going through a state of repair. And you hope to yourself in the ways that you are currently off that you start to turn on. Challenge yourself to find a silver lining. There will be more than one. And remember, this isn't a highlight reel moment yet. Ask yourself, what is a lesson to be learned? Again, there may be more than one. Really examine it from as many perspectives as you can possibly imagine. Sleep on it and approach it from a new set of fresh eyes. You may very well be going through some series of unresolved trauma from your past, riddled with red flags. But you have the opportunity now, in this moment, to make better decisions instead of worse ones. Give yourself the space and the time to build the courage to challenge yourself to make real, lasting changes in your life. Do what you've not given yourself the opportunity to do, and take another step, even if it's just back, to re-examine the situation. Is it the world around me? Is it my environment? Is it something that I read in the news? Was it a conversation that I had with a stressed out friend a few days ago that managed to latch onto my subconscious? Is it the weather? Am I behind on my to-do list? Do I feel like I've gotten behind on my true calling in this world? Have I not established what my true or just even a truer calling may be? Am I being selfish? Am I giving too much? Am I being used? Am I using others? In what ways is my life out of balance? And who other than me is responsible for restoring that balance? To quote the talking heads, you may ask yourself, how did I get here? You might think to yourself that if I can feel this way, if I could feel so lousy, then what's the point of sobriety? And it's that kind of thinking that easily leads people off their path. You forget about what your goals are. You forget about why you stopped drinking in the first place. You start rationalizing and bargaining with yourself, thinking that, well, I've been sober long enough, so maybe drinking will be different this time. Maybe I'm different now. Maybe I'll be fine. Maybe. Or maybe you'll lose another friend. Maybe you'll disappear for a whole weekend and wake up Monday morning asking yourself if you really need this job. Maybe you'll go through another breakup and lose another home. Maybe you'll numb yourself through another decade and continue to watch people around you disappear. Or maybe today, you'll power through the adversity. Maybe you'll realize that this is just temporary and this too shall pass. Just like stock markets crashing, world wars, and lousy weather, we also know too that happiness is temporary. And we paid for it every day with our sobriety. As the days go on and we accumulate more tools, more knowledge, and more life experience to more properly handle those days when the weather is just a little less than perfect, we realize that we need rainy days too, because sometimes the shift in our perspective gives us a deeper and more reliable happiness that we can count on again and again, unlike our relationship with alcohol. Remember, sobriety isn't responsible for us. We are responsible for sobriety. In therapy, they allow you the space to examine the recurring problem by talking through it and approaching it from a new perspective. Are you allowing yourself the time and the space that you need to work through your internal struggles? You may ask yourself how I know these things, and I'll tell you that it's because it's exactly what I'm going through right now. As I record this episode, it's in fact the entire reason why I wrote this episode. Today, I forced myself out of bed when I didn't want to be awake. I forced myself to make the bed and go through the motions of life, those mundane motions that felt like they weren't going to make it to the highlight reel of my life. I forced myself to go to the gym and naturally release endorphins that I was certain wasn't there and I thought probably wasn't going to come. And I managed to turn this thing called depression into a call of action that I can look back on and know that I've gained a new tool and created a reason to be confident in my own future. I turned how I was feeling into one of the most important things that I've done in my life by producing this episode. And maybe your episode comes in the form of an apology to someone from your past who carries the burden of one of your previous decisions. Maybe it's rebuilding a bridge that you've burned, or maybe it's just apologizing to yourself for all of the years that you've neglected yourself. I look forward to rebuilding the future, a future with viewers like you and this community that we're building together. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. If you resonate with any of this message, don't forget to subscribe by hitting that little subscribe button down below and leave a comment for either me or any one of the amazing members of this community in the comment section down below. And pretty please, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. And with that, I want to wish you good luck on your journey, and I will see you in the next episode.